that was a good last round there. A little bit of pizza left, but before we get started and introduce today's speaker, I would like to remind you there are 2 remaining talks in the lunchtime talks in science and math this semester. One is, I think, on the 20th of November, and that is, I think, Dr. Malig with fresh look at capsaicins or something like that, chilies, right, or spicy food. And then the last one is December 5th, I believe, with Dr. Binns, rocketry and orbits or something of that nature. So put those on your calendar. There's schedules posted outside the classrooms in this building as well as online. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Comfort Cover, who is going to be talking with us about maintaining your PC.
So hi, we're going to talk about how to maintain your own computer. In some of my classes, some of you students may have heard part of this. It is usually an assignment in my Business 120 Intro to Computer Applications class that you need to prove that you did this to me, and you've taken pretty pictures. So I've gone a little bit beyond what I have the students do there and showed you how to do this and how to make your computer a little more efficient, a little more fast, and a little more effective. And maybe, just maybe, going in and making sure that everything's fine, all your viruses, that all your data is protected, all your information is good to go, and you're safe. And some of this you guys have probably never done because it's some things that we don't even think about. So before you do anything, any restoring, any trying to fix your computer in any fashion, you need to first make a backup. So if something goes wrong, something happens, you can resort back to your backup, right? So I put 3 little videos onto this presentation. We won't watch them in here, but you can go read about how to grab a CD, drop it in there, and it'll back up your data and drop it onto the CD, and away you go. And this presentation, just so you all know, is out on the internet, and you can get to it anytime you want. And these are just 3 short little videos on how to go back up your data. So let's assume that you've backed up your data, okay? Because that's the very first thing we always want to do is back everything up. You can also create a system restore point. When you go into Windows specifically, it'll allow you to restore. So if your disk isn't too bad or something's just kind of off, you can restore to a previous date. I like to have a full backup in case that doesn't work so that I know I can resort back to my backup. That other one is a system image, and I put that out here. It's how to build your own system image. And what that means is if I build myself a system image of my computer and I lose everything on it, something's gone, I want to restore it, I can restore it directly off of that image, and it's back to the way it was on that day I created that image. So it's really nice to have an image disk so I can go back to that day where it was clean, everything was pretty, and it's perfect. Sound fair? So those 3 little videos will take you through how to build either any of those, a backup point, a restore point, or a system image. So once we get our system image built, we want to clean our system because in all reality, this has happened. This is not an unknown fact. In fact, I heard a student this morning, Nick, sitting right here, saying, yeah, I had a server running for how long, Nick?
About 2 years.
About 2 years, and never touched it, opened it up and went, oh my goodness, there is just all kinds of crud. So you can build up this much dust inside your computer, especially in the valley where we have all the farmers' fields and everything else blowing all the dust in the air. You literally need to clean it out. And none of us have ever done this, have we?
No.
Never. We never eat or drink around a computer, right? Never, ever. So when you do spill something on it, what are you going to do and how are you going to repair it? Because let's face it, we all have spilled on our computers and it works. So there's one last resort. I always tell people a joke about people who have come to me and said, well, My computer quit working. Well, they had put it in the dishwasher. Well, I suppose it might stop working if you put your computer keyboard in the dishwasher. But you really can, if your keyboard is really bad off, put your keyboard in your dishwasher. Now, there are some very hard and fast rules and tricks. Number one, always make sure you have a spare keyboard. So if it makes your keyboard fail, you can always go back to your other one. Okay, so I've got a spare, and now I'm going to try and clean this thing. I can put it in the dishwasher. It's best to put it in there alone, usually on the top shelf, and only on the rinse cycle. No dry, no heat dry, none of that, just a rinse cycle. And it will usually clean it up real nice. You take it out of your dishwasher, set it upside down on a towel so the key part is down, and let it drip and dry for 7 days. 7 days. That's why you have to have a spare. So after 7 days, you can flip it over, try and plug it in, see if it works. Yes?
Maybe I thought you said.
No, you don't ever use soap. No soap. None of that stuff. Now, I know people who have, and it hasn't harmed it, but I sure wouldn't put soap in there. So you want to just rinse it and take it out. And you can literally clean your keyboard in the dishwasher. Okay? So now that I've got that clean and life is good and I'm feeling good, I need to make sure that I get all that dust out. So, in fact, I brought this because we all in the computer field talk about having a can of air handy. And I get tired of spending the money on the replaceable cans of air. So I went and spent, I think it's been in a year and a half, 2 years, $45 on this little device. And it's a can of air, it's compressed, everything. I just plug it into the wall and it works just like a can of air. But I don't have to refill it. So it was a $140 purchase versus those $2.99 little cans of air. Now, why wouldn't I use my husband's air compressor? Huh?
Maybe too much pressure.
Too much pressure, but I can kind of slow it down, right? I can kind of slow it down. The difference between this and oil and water is in an air compressor. There is not oil and water in this. So I won't get oil and water on my computer when I try and clean that dust out. If you get oil and water on it, not a good plan. Once I was asked to install a computer right next to a Bunsen burner and a sink, and I said, no. I'm not going to put a computer in that location because if I do, the chances of it getting harmed are tremendous. This is electronic air blower that I found online last night. It cost $70 or so. But I just like that plan much better than going the other way. So we talk about dust. And dust really can hurt your computer. It's no big deal. We used to build computer rooms special, right? With floors and ceilings, all kinds of halon, making sure that they were all cooled and everything was nice. We don't do that anymore. You stick it under your desk, right? And you stuff it under there. So let's talk a minute about how dust can truly hurt this device. This is your hard drive. There's a little teeny tiny piece of cushioned air sitting right here. And it is smaller than a dust particle. But the dust can break up and get underneath there. Hair particles, smoke particles, whatever it is, can get through the filters and land right in here. And if there's a piece of dust or any other particle on my drive, because it made it through my filter systems, it will then be between the read-write head and the hard surface and cause a crash to my head. And when it crashes, it will then destroy the disk at that spot. And whatever was there is now wiped out. So I don't want this ever, ever, ever to happen to me. It's in all reality a very fragile mechanism. Some of you may have seen that I've been outside with students trying to have them break a hard drive. And I mean, you have to take a sledgehammer to it. to get it to actually physically break. But there are filter systems in it that air can go in to keep everything cool. So if we don't help that air go and circulate because we have too much dust, we're going to burn up our computer. Without a doubt. If we go electronics at all, it's going to burn that piece to where I don't have anything left. So I don't want that to happen to me. So how often do I do this? How often do I think about my dust bunny and not getting caught with her? Okay? There is a way to figure out how often I should have to get out my can of air. How many of you, before I go there, how many of you have gone through and cleaned your computer recently? So this side, but these guys are computing geeks. So, and this side, we're going, maybe not, right? And even a laptop needs to be cleaned because they get hauled around everywhere, right? So how often do we actually do this? So I found us a nice, cool little website. And if I go to this website, maybe, it doesn't want to let me. Oh, there it is. Boom. Yeah, 3 times because I hit it so many times. So here is this little quiz. So the first is, okay, is it in a home environment or an office environment or a dusty one? So we'll say it's in a school environment, just like here. Okay, are there any cat and dogs? No. Can we smoke? No. Can we smoke next to the computer? Is it on the floor here? A lot of times they are, aren't they? Maybe on those little carriage things, or are they on the floor? So we'll say, yeah, it's kind of on the floor. Do we have carpet in the rooms with computers? Sometimes, so we'll say yes. And we're not supposed to eat and drink, so we're going to say no and hope the students listen. And most of us are over 18, every 5 months. Pretty cool, huh? Just tells you flat out every 5 months. Mine came back every 3 months because I have cats and dogs and all kinds of stuff in my house. So mine came back and said, no, you got to go further than that. Got to go a long time away. So once we determine how often that we need to give us to actually fix this dust issue, how do we fix it? Well, you want to start off by unplugging everything, and then it's off. Don't unplug your keyboard. Don't unplug all of the printers and everything out of the back of the computer. And why not? Because if it is dusty and you're going to blow it out, you just opened that up and caused air to potentially be in there. Right now, there's nothing in that because it's sealed, right? So leave it sealed. And just pile them on top of the computer and walk away with it a little further and start to take it apart. Sound like a plan? Because if they're there, they're still protecting those ports and those holes. So I don't want to take it apart, but I want to take off the case. Either there's little thumb things, something that can lift off the side, pull this way. Usually it's on the side of the computer, you can read it. And we're all afraid of doing that. Oh, should I open it? Yes, open it. It's not going to bite you, I promise. It's no different than open the hood of your car. You know, open it up. Don't be afraid of it. And once I've got it open, I can then see inside the box and how much dust and yuck I have inside my box. What I will normally do, which I've done outside of the School of Business office before, some of my students see, blow out a computer outside. Because I don't want all that dust inside. I don't want to refill my room full of that crud. So you can carry it right outside. This one is a box that opens the sideways like this, because they're different manufacturers. I can tell you that's a Dell. That's the only box that does that I've ever seen. So, and she takes her can of air and sprays out the dust inside. And that's all you want to do is just clean it all out and get it all sparkly new so that it looks good. If you can't get the dust out with an air tool, you can use a static cloth. The two keys is always keep yourself grounded. So how do I do that? Touch the metal box. While you're doing it, keep your hand, and notice her hand's on the box going, okay? Because she's staying grounded to it. Because I don't want any static electricity to spark anything inside there. Most people think, well, it's off, it won't hurt it. There's one item in your computer that doesn't let it fully turn off. Every computer has a clock. Every clock has a battery attached to it inside the computer, and there's a little computer battery clock sitting in there that's keeping the computer's clock timed. So it's technically has electrical pulse all the way through it right now because it's got that battery in there keeping it going. Sound fair? So just keep yourself so that you don't get any static electricity in your box. So we've got it all taken out, and we'll all be nerds together because everything's clean. Right? Next time I see any of you, I'll say, hey, you cleaned your computer? And you're going to go, oh. Okay? So, you know you're a real nerd when the computer is the cleanest thing in your house. And that's true in my house. It's the cleanest thing in the house. But I have a need to keep those clean. So, once we have it clean, we're putting it all back together, and we're setting it where it was. Hopefully where it was not on the floor. Most people say, oh, it's no big deal, it's just my computer. Just don't kick it. No. Treat it not really, really fragile, but kind of. Be a little nice to it. It used to be in a room that was air conditioned. Now we're putting it where the dog sleeps. Right? So you got to kind of think about the system itself. So then next we're going to go through and we have to clean up our system. So I like to clean my files first because remember we made a backup when we started. Right? So if we screwed something up, something went wrong when I cleaned it or anything like that, I had my backup and I could restore, right? So knowing I have my backup, I can start to clean files. Within your computer system, it has junk files. From a programmer's perspective, they're not really junk. They're just the files that I need for a moment, and then I don't need them, and then we forget to delete them because we were lazy. Okay? So we should always delete them, but we don't. So they end up out there on your system. The way you can delete all these files that you don't need is by just going to All Programs, Accessories, System Tools, and then Disk Cleanup. You'll get a screen that'll look like this, and it first comes up and says, is this the drive that you want to do? And it's usually the C drive. You say, okay, and it comes up and starts spinning. Once it's done spinning, it'll bring this screen right here. So rather than just talk about it, I had computing services come and log into this machine. Now, why would I do that? The main reason is if I had them log in. As a person who's worked with networks, because this is a networked computer and I want to make sure that it works for somebody after I leave the room, I won't let me do something to it. So I got to be nice and say, even if you wanted to do something, you're not going to do anything to it. So it locks you out of the system tools area. It'll show it to you, but you can't execute anything because you're not an administrator, so they don't want us in there playing with it. So I said, come on over, guys, and log me in so I can show you how to do this, because you need system administration access. So you can't do this at the school. You have to do it at home, okay, on your own personal computer. So if I go in here, I'm going to say All Programs, Accessories, and then system tools, disk cleanup. There it is, it's calculating my C drive, and it's gonna come up in just a sec. We hope. Yeah, probably. Well, I don't know. When was the last time you guys did it? Oh, then it is probably pretty dirty. So then I'm gonna get this nice little screen. And on this little screen, I'm gonna have to select what files I wanna get rid of. So the recycle bin, I wanna get rid of everything in there. Old setup log files, I don't care. I don't need those. All of my temporary files, I don't need any of that. And, oh, my error pages, I don't need those. Okay, I don't need any of that. So I'm gonna clear 6 megabytes off my hard drive right now. Boom, just like that. And I'm just gonna say, okay. And it's gonna ask me, are you sure you really wanna do this? And boom, there it goes. Now, you notice my 2 computing services guys aren't freaked out. They're just going, okay, she didn't delete anything horrid that we would need, because in that list, normally there's nothing that you would need. So it deleted them, and now I'm good to go. And I'm happy because I've now cleaned all the trash off my hard drive, and I don't care what's there anymore. So after that, I'm going to go and proceed to defrag my hard drive, and so that I can actually, I wonder why this goes away. Oh, there it is. So I can actually defrag my hard drive. So as that cleaned up and got everything clean, and I was good to go. So let's talk about viruses and defragging my hard drive. What are viruses? Besides, I got a flu shot the other day. So the computer viruses and or spam and or phishing and or anything you want. I can do phishing. I can find a way to get to you. So if I can find a way to get to you, I want to protect myself. I want to protect myself from me and from you. So I don't muck anything up. So there's 2 things we have to take care of. Our virus scanner is going to be a very important component. How many of you own a virus scanner? Paid hard and good cash for it? Nobody paid hard, good cash. Where'd you get it? AVG? Huh? You guys now met? Where'd you get yours? Oh, BitTorrent. We don't want to know about a BitTorrent. Let's not even go there. You guys know what a BitTorrent is? Yes. It's a way to steal software. So when your students are talking about BitTorrents, go. Not in here.
It's not completely for stealing software. There are legitimate.
No, there are legitimate, but they're few and far between.
A lot of Linux distros are.
Yeah, they are. But do you think this group's going to use Linux?
Yes. We could. You have an Android phone.
So, as we think about how this virus scanner, there is another free one out there. I'm not a huge Microsoft fan, but Microsoft did do something really good. A while back, their virus scanners, the virus scanning companies were paying people to write viruses so that you'd have to upgrade your virus scanner software, and they could make money, right? So Microsoft said, I don't think so, and built a virus scanner that's free to anybody. It's called Security Essentials, and that's the link for it. You can go download it, install it, works real well. Computing Services now recommends it. It's a nice virus scanner, goes with Windows. It's built by the people who built Windows. So it's my safest go-to method. So make sure you set your virus scanner schedule and that you leave your computer on the night that you schedule it. It's going to take a full disk scan and take a couple hours at the minimum. Okay, it's going to churn for quite a while. Now, unless you like to sit and watch your computer churn, so install your virus scanner. Here on campus, They literally take care of that for us. If you want to use this network, you have to get the virus scanner. You have to prove through the system. It checks your computer for a virus scanner. If it's there, then it says okay. If it's not, it won't let you connect to this network, right? So it's our way of saying, I'm not going to let you put any viruses on my network. I'm not going to play. I don't want to. And I can't blame them. So now that I've got my disk cleaned up, all of my viruses cleaned up, and now I've got weird pop-ups happening all over my computer system. How many of you ever had that? You go on the internet and a page, you bring a page up and then 3 things pop up on it? But it used to not do that. Where are those pop-ups coming from? And why are they coming? And what did I do to make all of these silly things start happening? Or an Optimizer Pro pop-up screen when I turn my computer on. All of these things start happening to you. So the best way is that what you did is when you installed something that you really wanted, you weren't reading the screen real well and hit next, and it went ahead and installed in all of the stuff you said okay, instead of decline, decline, decline. So my first warning is read the screen. It's amazing what you can find out once you read that screen. It gets a little tedious, but you can go in there and read it. Once you have something on there and it's causing issues or you just don't want it there anymore, you go in and you want to clean it all up. Go to your Start Control Panel. As you go to that control panel, right here, it's going to come up and look just like this. I then want to select this and uninstall a program. So I can get in there and remove anything that I don't want. So when I go in and uninstall my program, I'll get this screen. This screen is just saying, okay, what desktop gadgets do I want? Well, I don't care about those right now. What default programs do I want? I'm not worried about that right now. I want to worry about all of the programs and features and uninstalling that program. I want to get rid of whatever is out there that I don't like and I don't want. So I will then go and get this screen. And at this screen, I will be able to select whatever I don't want. So I can tell you right now, HD plus HD-1.6 causes pop-ups. My husband was using my computer and installed something and installed that by mistake as well. So I knew I needed to go out there and click on that and say uninstall. I'm going to go do this exact same thing here on this computer just to show you where it is. But I can tell you right now, they probably don't have a lot of programs out there that they wouldn't want. Okay? Am I correct, guys? So here is another way that screen will look. This is a set of small icons and a different view. You can see up there where it says View By, and it says small icons right now. That's because Computing Services had set it that way. I had it set on categories. There's that same screen that we had it. Okay? Either one will work. Doesn't matter. I can go here and uninstall a program, and here's all the programs that are on this system. And I probably don't want to take anything off. Okay? And here's the trick. What do I know not to take off? How do I know?
Banner.
You don't need that.
Banner. Actually, Banner's an internet application, so it won't get installed.
Probably not syncing up.
No, what you want to leave is anything from Adobe, because that's your PDF viewer and your movie viewers, right? You don't want to delete anything where you know the name. So I know who Apple is. I know who this company is just because of who I am. You may not, so if you didn't know it and you'd be going, how'd that get on there? I'd delete it because you don't need that particular piece of software. It's a comparative software that we use in computing. This is a cleaner software, touchpad. Okay, I understand what those are. If I recognize the name, leave it alone. If I don't, then I can uninstall. So if you look down here, I'm going to start getting a whole bunch of windows and other things that I know I don't want to touch. The smart board, I know I don't want to touch that stuff. Firewall, Windows firewall configuration, leave those alone, but delete the icky ones. Does that make sense? Just take them out of there. You don't care. What's the worst that could happen to you? What's the very worst thing?
You delete a program you want.
I deleted a program I wanted, so I got to reinstall it. But you know what? I haven't made it a backup before I started this process, so I could drop my backup in, spin it, get back to my backup, and start over. Right? So it doesn't matter if I screw it up. Because I can go to my backup, and I can restore everything, right? So don't panic. Just uninstall it and see what happens. Some programs will say you're going to have to reboot for this to finish. Let it reboot. Okay? And say, all right, let's go back in and do some more. So now that I've gotten everything out of Microsoft Windows that I don't want that stuff there. And so I'm now going off to saying, all right, I have to defrag my hard drive. So let's talk about a hard drive for a minute. We looked at the platter that we saw earlier with the read-write head. So in the computer field, we try to make things efficient. We try. Not always successfully, we'll admit it. So what we do on that hard drive is it's built in circles, and it's a cylinder type setup. And I'm going to put a file on that cylinder, and then I'm going to put another file on it, and then I'm going to put another one, and I'm going to go around and around and around. And now you deleted this one way back here. And then you deleted this one. Well, then you deleted one over here. Okay, so now I've got all these holes where there were files. So you go to save another file. Well, I'll put part of it there, and then I'll put a little bit there, and then I'll put a little bit there, and then I'll put, okay, now I've got it all on the hard drive. So now it's in little pieces instead of one nice big long thing. Make sense? And so I get little fragments of files. Now, is the file all still there? Yes. It's sure still there. I just didn't store it all contiguously on my drive because I didn't have the contiguous space. So what do? The defrag within Microsoft says, well, let's fix that. We're going to let you go in and analyze the disk and see how many fragments there are. Once you're done analyzing it, we'll tell you if you really need to defrag it and get it cleaned up and everything contiguous again. Okay, now the defrag will take how long? You can be sitting there forever. My husband loves to watch it. I just kind of look at him like, are you kidding me? I got too many things to do. So this defrag you want to do, you first want to analyze the disk, and if it tells you, go ahead and defrag it. Mine was only at 8%. That's because I just installed Windows on my Mac, on the PC side of my Mac, so it's there. You get to this through All Programs, Accessory, System Tools, Disk Defragger. And it will defrag your hard drive and clear it. So now we have cleaned the outside. We've cleaned the inside of dust. We have our backup that we started with. We then cleaned our hard drive. ran our virus scanner, defragged our hard drive, and now we need to do one last thing. I can't say I'm done. What's the last thing? Because now my system's running pretty. I've rebooted it 3 times and it's just humming. Everything's nice. I like it. Back it up. You got it. Update your Windows first and then back that system up. Do a Windows system upgrade and back it up. How do you get to the Windows system upgrade? If you can't find it, I'm going to show you a trick if you can't find any of these. If I click on Start, I get this little window right there at the bottom where I can type. Right there, I can search for any program, for anything I want, right there. I can say, okay, update. That's what I'm looking for, is a Windows update. Oh, look at that. Imagine that. And it takes me right there. So I don't have to search through all my all programs. If I don't even know where some of those disk defraggers, type the word disk. Type the word defrag. It'll bring it up at the top of the list. Sound fair? Cool little trick? You guys all knew that, though. That was an easy one. So we're going to back it up and make sure everything is purty. Once we have backed it up and it's all looking so nice, we're all good to go. And we can sit back and relax and say, I must be a nerd. Because now my computer's pretty and clean, and somebody comes by and spills something on it, and you want to go, I just cleaned that thing. Leave me alone. So I'm going to bring this to a close with 2 last comments. I said that you could protect your information and safeguard yourself. You can't do that unless you keep your passwords secured. I can't do it for you. Computing services can't do it for you. Nobody can. And the reason I bring this up is my mother, I love her dearly, 81 years old. She can't remember all of her passwords. So sitting on her computer desk next to her computer is a 3x5 card holder. And you open it up and alphabetized or 3x5 cards with every password for every site. Don't do that. Do not. Okay? I tell people that, and my folks live so far from here that it'd take you a long time to get there. So don't do that. This institution does not force us to change our passwords. How many of you have changed your password since you've started here? Change it. How can I sneak in and get information? I can hop from my home computer onto Adams State, break into your account, onto NSF, the National Science Foundation, because we have a couple of grants. Go from National Science Foundation and hop over to whatever government agency I want. Okay? So change your password and don't write it down. Okay? Which takes me to the next thing. Well, I forgot my password, and I wrote it, I changed it. Damn it, I forgot it. And people get really nervous calling the help desk and get really nervous talking to those people over there.
They're scared.
They're not. Don't let them scare you. They're not. If they are, you come tell us, because most of them are students that are answering the phone. We'll yell at them. Quit being scary. Okay? So never feel stupid asking for help. And I say that, and I'm going to show you this real short video. And if you think that you were bad in trying to get help, this guy is having a harder time than any of us ever dreamed of. There it is. I don't know where the volume is.
Så langt kom jeg også. Men så stoppet det opp, og så var jeg redd for at nå teksten skulle forsvinne. Så jeg turte å gå videre. Men du skjønner, inni her, så ligger det kanskje flere hundre sider med laget tekst. Når du går videre, så tar du tak i et ark, på den måten her, og så blar du over på neste side sammen, da fortsetter teksten her. Jeg blar, altså. Du blar, ja. Men er det tilbake da? Ja, da bare blar du tilbake igjen. Ta tak der. Og der er det tilbake til den teksten alle sammen. Ok, så slutter der, og så fortsetter den der. Så bare slår du sammen fergene. Ja, på den måten her. Så der ligger alt lagret inne der. Jeg risikerer ikke å miste noe av teksten her. For det er noe med det at når man holder på med skriftruller, så tar det litt tid å konvertere til å bla i en bøk. Ja, men det er før det går. Jeg skal bare gå inn en gang til. Jeg åpner sånn, og så, hva du kaller det, der, jeg blar frem og tilbake, og når jeg er ferdig, så bare lukker jeg den der. Det er kjempefint. Ja, men det er ikke sant? Nå er det sånn igjen, nå får jeg ikke åpnet den. Ja vel.
So it's not all that bad. You can't be that guy, okay? Are there any questions? No, yes, sir.
This is available, your presentation is available.
It is.
where?
At prizzy.com, PRIZSI.com. And you can go get it and play with it and watch it. I
You
shared
just
it up.
Do a search with your name.
And it should show right up. Actually, when you go there, you even type in maintaining your PC, it should show up as well.
Okay.
Because I had left it there. Yes, sir.
Do all of those same thing processes apply to a solid state hard drive?
No, and yes. A solid state hard drive, for those of you who don't know, the hard drive that I showed you has movable parts. A solid state hard drive has no movable parts. So when I deal with a solid state drive that has no movable parts, I can write to it fairly often. I can read from it all the time, okay? It's that when I write to it, and if it's a high volume, my solid state drive won't stand up like the others, okay? But you have to really be pushing it, so it'd have to be a high transaction database type application. So I would, on my solid state drive, you shouldn't have to defrag, you shouldn't have to do anything but let it run. But I personally wouldn't pay for a solid state drive. They cost, my hard drive right now, how much did I bought a 1 terabyte external hard drive for $70. So that's an entire terabyte. That's huge in my mind. Okay, now I've used all the space on it, so that's beside the point. Okay, and that terabyte cost me $70. If I would have paid for a solid state, I would have been $280, easy. Okay, And that's the price difference for that solid state that doesn't ever have to move. It's the read-write heads that move above it, cause things to happen. I personally wouldn't spend the money. If I worked for Microsoft, maybe. But I personally would not. Any other questions? Well, I finished 6 minutes early. You'll be on time for class. There'll be no excuses.